and are recording. And I'll look for the audience.
Yeah, there she is, and Julie's over there too. There's Barb.
Hi.
I think we got everybody
Well,
now.
we have everybody here. I gotta expand this thing. Give me just a second. I want to get my view set up so I can see everybody who's actually here. Okay. All righty then. Let's bring this meeting to order. This is the September 16th, 2025 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform. This meeting's being recorded. First item on the agenda are the September 2nd, 2025 minutes. Does anybody have any comments, changes, anything?
No.
No.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Andy, do we have any Plum Island updates?
Sorry, I was muted. No, not from me. But I do think we have some delays on the sort of federal state level. Like I've mentioned before, we're going to try to pick up the discussion with them on things like the analysis for the erosion, sand movement, as well as coordination with DCR relative to the beach management. But nothing new otherwise.
Okay. Very good. All right, let's go on to certificates of compliance, etc. The Port Plaza Realty Trust, 45 Story Avenue, request for determination.
Good evening. Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. So I think with me tonight, Randy from Bowler should be out there, and Lisa Mead may also be out there as well. When we last left you, we had presented our information, and the commission wanted some more assurance on the stormwater issues that have been raised as part of the peer review with the zoning board. And since that time, we've made an update to the RDA plan. One, to clarify where the resource buffer zones are. I'll go through that in a second. And the other, more recently, was to update it to be consistent with the site plan updates that went into zoning in response to comments from the city engineer and the peer review engineer. Randy can get more into the stormwater with you in a minute if you need that, but the main thing is the additional work done. Essentially, the original stormwater report was limited to the A&R lot that's going to be created with this development, and that stormwater report was expanded to be the contributing area of the entire 45-story property. And as part of that analysis, one of the things the peer reviewer wanted looked at was the peak velocity and the velocity. And so all of that was done, and the data concludes that we're actually decreasing velocity, decreasing rate, flow, volume, the whole 9 yards, as we talked about. And we also, as part of those changes, and again, Randy can provide more information, added a couple catch basins, and I think some improved water quality with that. On top of that, the change from parking to roof by itself, sort of by definition, is improving water quality. So first, let me just jump into the buffer lines that you see on the plan. At the bottom of this plan, you see purple and kind of a blue color. The purple is the buffer zone to ordinance only stream. Those are the bank flags that are delineated on an ORAD that this commission has approved, and this commission has extended most recently last year. So that ORAD is still valid. And from the outlet of the pipe until where it reaches BVW, it's a stream upstream of a wetland, and therefore it's ordinance only. The 100-foot buffer line is that magenta. The purple line is the buffer zone to BVW, and that extends 2 feet into a portion of the disturbance of the project, which is actually within the city sidewalk, not on property. And that is, tiny right there. So that gives you a sense of where we are in relation to the Wetland Protection Act resources, as well as the city. And the city ordinance only stream is really a stormwater outfall for the city's stormwater system that collects water not just from this site, but from Story Ave, CVS, and the developments and areas up in that direction, as well as a little bit in the other direction, as well as all the stormwater in that portion of Low Street. So what we're doing within that, within the buffer zone on the Wetland Protection Act buffer zone, it's basically no change. We're improving the sidewalk, essentially reconstructing the sidewalk that's going to be, impervious to impervious, stay exactly the same. Within the buffer zone to the ordinance, we're reducing impervious pretty substantially by creating some green space where there is none right now. The other element that we talked to you about with the RDA is, we're looking for a number of things. One is the negative determination for the project itself, but also a confirmation that the Market Basket stormwater basin is not jurisdictional. So for the basin, I just want to, before I turn it over to Randy to go over the stormwater stuff in a little more detail, I want to just walk through what we're looking for in the RDA as a reminder. So we're looking for a -1 as it relates to the detention basin. And you may recall I showed you aerial photographs, old records that demonstrate this was created in an area where there were no streams, no wetlands, strictly an upland, and it is strictly a stormwater basin with no streams or anything like that. It's also exempted because it is a stormwater basin. It's exempted from the ordinance from being a resource area. We're looking for a -3 for the work in the buffer zone under the Wetland Protection Act. And then we're looking for a -6 with regards to the Newburyport Wetlands Ordinance itself. So that's what we're looking for. This project is, as we talked about at the last meeting on this, it's within a site that is entirely developed. It's separated from the resource area by a road that is crowned, that has a stormwater system installed, and it it really would have to try hard to have an adverse effect on the resource area. So Randy, I don't know if you want to go into your updates on the stormwater.
Tom, I got a couple questions.
Sure.
All those maple trees along Low Street, are those remaining?
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And what is a -6 determination? I've never seen
That's
that.
just -6 is that it doesn't trigger the ordinance. I can take a quick look at the form and I'll give you the exact language. It like, so if it's okay with you, can we park that? I'll look that up while Randy just gives you a quick overview of the stormwater changes that we added in. And the other key thing that Randy can talk about is we also, in the original stormwater report, one of the things that caused some confusion is the stormwater report had treated the outfall from the city municipal stormwater system as the design point, where the design point really is the point where it enters the city stormwater system right there. It enters there, it commingles with stormwater from all over the place before ultimately discharging in the outfall across the street. So that was another correction made in the stormwater report. So let me turn it over to Randy and I'll look up and I'll read to you exactly what a -6 is.
Yep. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, and just to give everybody just a kind of an overview of the stormwater management system. So the project continues to be a redevelopment in that we are decreasing impervious surfaces by around 9,000 square feet when you compare the existing conditions versus the proposed conditions. In addition to that, we are meeting the Mass DEP stormwater management standards for redevelopments, as required by the state standard. And we did provide some additional calculations within our stormwater drainage report, basically proving that the peak runoff rates, the volumes, as well as the velocities at where the project enters the low street drainage system, those are all going to be decreased in the proposed conditions, and there will not be those won't be I guess increased. In addition to that, as Tom had mentioned, the amount of impervious surface within that buffer, I think it's decreasing by around 25% when you compare the existing versus proposed condition. So we provided all those calculations as part of our stormwater report. And really that's kind of just a high level overview of the stormwater management system and how everything's working. Further, we did in addition to that, we also are providing some I think there's 3 water quality units. So as way treating and helping remove some TSS, some total suspended solids, we are providing 3 water quality units in the proposed condition. So again, that should really help further enhance the quality of the stormwater that's leaving the site when compared to the existing condition. And really, that's kind of just a high level overview of the stormwater management system. I guess, Tom, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah. So first of all, when you read this on the form itself, you realize that every single negative determination you guys issue probably needs to have a -6. The -6 reads as the area and or work described in the request is not subject to additional review and approval by, and then name of municipality pursuant to a municipal wetlands ordinance or bylaw, and gives you the place to cite it. So when you do a -3, that's a Wetland Protection Act negative. When you do a -6, that's your ordinance negative.
Okay, well, maybe we'll consider doing those.
And then with regard to that, back to, Randy just gave you the overview. As he said, we added water quality units. There's some other adjustments done in that whole submission, but at this point, where we're at is we think we're in a good position to have the commission issue those determinations. And you could condition, since this will have to, as a 40B, it will have to be approved by the zoning board, and part of their review is the stormwater management system. And you could do a condition that something like the RDA is conditioned upon the zoning board of appeals process concluding that the project meets the Massachusetts stormwater policy for redevelopment. And that would give you the assurance that the determination really is only valid upon that final ZBA approval.
This is Andy. Could I just chime in there briefly?
Yep.
Just for the record, just to clarify, yeah, the zoning board of appeals is taking this particular aspect of the project up in their plan review on the 30th of September. So they would be expected to, we're both expecting John R. White and Phil Christensen to be there at the meeting to deal with any of the other technicals that come up here. Recognizing that probably from the commission's perspective, the reduced volume and increased quality of the water are probably the primary considerations, which Tom and Randy spoke to earlier. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we got any other questions? Concerns?
No.
Oh, Julia, go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Joe. I'm just wondering how, I appreciate what Tom suggested around that condition, concluding that the zoning board determines the project meets the Mass Stormwater Management Policy standards for redevelopment. So I'm just wondering if when you issue the RD or the determination with that condition, how do you pull it back if that doesn't? It's just odd to issue a determination with that kind of a condition rather than just sort of like holding the determination until that is determined. Otherwise, you have to sort of pull back and negate the determination that you've already issued rather than just waiting to issue it until that determination by the zoning board has been made. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to complicate things or delay it at all. It's just really procedural from my standpoint on how to make this work.
Right. So
If I might, sorry, Tom, do you mind if this is Andy again through the
Yeah.
chair? I just wanted to offer it. I understand Julia's concern. You might also just append that condition to say that no prior to construction, so that construction could not start, under this particular RDA without that loop being closed. So that would basically mean that for their purposes, the RDA would not really take effect for meaningful effect for them until that loop had been closed.
Okay,
I'll leave that to you.
that probably clears it up. That's probably just the preface that it needs, unless somebody sees anything else.
Yeah, and if I can further just point out, from all practical standpoints, right, the zoning board's not going to approve this if it doesn't meet stormwater standards. And so if you issue the negative with that condition, either the condition is met or it's not met. But if it's not met, it means that the zoning board probably hasn't approved the project and therefore it's not going forward anyway. So I don't see this as, it's not really at risk of having to pull back. And there's such a small amount of this that is
Mhm.
jurisdictional that any changes that occur to the plans at this point would be so minor and they would be, out of jurisdiction or within jurisdiction in an area that's already completely developed to the extent that it would have no bearing. So in many cases, Julia, I would agree with you that, you're best to just wait and all that. But in this case, if we can get this issued, we can get past appeal periods and know that we're not having to come in here with a notice of intent for the project. Otherwise, by further delaying, it just risks that we're going to end up, the project gets through zoning and all of a sudden we're back here with a notice of intent. So
I'm not talking about a notice of intent. I was just, my only other remaining sort of minor concern is that by issuing a determination prior to the sort of more formal determination that this meets stormwater management standards, is that by us issuing the determination, the zoning board assumes that we have made that call for them.
I think maybe you
I
could,
don't want that to be conveyed. I don't want that
right,
to
I
be
think
the
you could
concept.
preface the condition with based on the fact that the zoning board of appeals is taking the lead on reviewing the stormwater system.
And yeah, I might just add it in a cover letter or something like that. That's
Yeah.
all, just
Yeah,
a way to make it clear.
Yeah, I think it probably we could put that as a supplemental, whether it be sort of a cover letter from the commission or part of the staff report from the office. I think that's a
Yeah.
good point that Julie raises, that just to kind of, well, that preface is in there in that condition, just to clarify that it's still understood that the ZBA and its consultant here, Phil, which you work with as well, would complete that loop, without any ambiguity.
All right. I mean, our primary reason for being here is, technically we're within the buffer zone, right, to the area across the street. But this is not one of those things where there's a huge benefit from the additional conservation review, and the zoning board is going to take care of the rest. So, however you want to preface that and
Yeah.
put a condition, I think that's fine. But ultimately, that's really why we're here. And also, you have this big area, the basin at Market Basket that, has a bunch of wetland plants in it. And so if you don't know the history, you tend to think, oh, there's a wetland over there. So we just wanted to make sure that we kind of dotted those I's and crossed the T's with the resource areas. And we certainly are fully engaged in the stormwater system with zoning board. They've got the peer reviewer working for zoning board. So I don't think anybody's under any illusions of
Yep.
who's reviewing it. But, I think at this point, if we could sort of get a decision out, tonight, and then get that issued in the near future, I think that would be fantastic, and we could just kind of move forward on this.
Tom, could you run through the determinations you're looking for from us tonight?
Yeah, hold on. I've got it on my other screen here. All right. So on the Market Basket Basin, so this RDA is applied for two addresses, 224 Low Street rear, which is where the basin is located, as well as 45 Story. So that would be a -1 that basically says, and I'll tell you what a -1 is on that form. A -1 is the area described in the request is not an area subject to jurisdiction under the act or the buffer zone. So that kind of says that basin is not jurisdictional. The next is for the project itself within the buffer zone to the wetlands across the street would be for the Wetland Protection Act. This is for that 2 feet that we come into the property up front. That's a negative determination 3, saying that we will not alter an area subject to jurisdiction under the Wetland Protection Act. And then the last is the negative determination 6, which is that it doesn't require any further review. I read that one to you a minute ago.
Right.
So those are the 3 that we're looking for. A -1 on the Market Basket Basin, a -3, and a -6 for the work.
So does the -3 become a -2 because we're putting a condition on it?
I think -3 is the one that can be conditioned, not
Yeah.
a -2.
Okay,
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on this?
No.
Okay,
okay.
Uh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion for a -1 determination for the Market Basket Detention Basin.
Gonna
I'll
do all
second
three.
We'll do all. Did you second that, Barbara?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we do all three at the same time.
I,
I'll leave it to you all procedurally. There's no reason why you couldn't. I appreciate, just as somebody who attends a lot of meetings, I appreciate Barbara's suggestion that you consolidate.
Okay.
If possible.
okay,
It's up to you.
We'll do it that
Okay.
way then.
okay, so I'll make a motion to issue a -1, -3, and -6 determinations. The
And the
-3,
Yeah,
-3 is
right.
the condition that we talked about with a cover letter.
Can I get a
Second
second?
that.
Okay, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes,
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank
All
you.
right then.
Tom, you're gonna
Alright,
be
then.
around later, aren't you?
Yeah, depends on
I,
how much later, but yes.
I got something that's unrelated
Oh.
to this.
Okay,
Well, you'll be up next, Tom.
okay.
I think the next two.
Yep.
Okay, then, let's, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
So move. All right. Second,
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
yes.
Ann Warshall,
Yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, first item is, Judith Welsh, 101 Curzon Mill Road, notice of intent. This has been continued to our next meeting, but, I'd like to get a little update from Tom if we could.
Yeah, the last time I gave you guys an update, I kind of explained where things were on this, where we basically the commission had asked us to show utilities, and we showed there was a bathroom proposed in the upstairs of the garage, something actually when I filed this I was unaware of. And of course, there's no sewer in Curzon Mill. So when we looked at it, we looked at the system serving the mill that we would normally tie into. And while technically under Title V, I think we could tie into it, its proximity to the river and its age had us recommending to the client that they replace it with a modern system. And so we have gone through the process of trying to arrange for the perk tests and the things necessary to do that. We needed to do some additional survey over on the property where the mill sits. And the city also went through a change in health directors, and the firm or the person that had been witnessing perk tests was also no longer under contract. So we had to wait for the new health director to start. She came on board. The perk was actually just done, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and soils are good. It's basically going to be kind of right parallel to Curzon Mill Road, right up in there. It's not going to have any adverse effect on the floodplain or anything like that. We can get it to work. And then we're going to replace where the existing system is over by the mill will become a tank. So there'll be a pipe, a tank, and then piping to get it over to the system. I can't remember if Steve said we needed a pump, but Steve's in the process of designing that, and he's waiting on the updated survey information to be processed and sent over to him so he can do an RDA plan for me for the mill site. So my plan is on the mill property, which is right on the other side of Curzon Mill. We'll file an RDA for the decommissioning of that septic system that's over there, and for the installation of or whatever work has to be done around that tank. And then the rest would be under this NOI with an updated plan showing you the septic. And we will have the septic plan in time for your next meeting. The big question mark right now in my mind is if I'm going to have the RDA in time, the RDA plan in time to file for that on Friday and keep them on track to be heard together. I'd like to be optimistic and think I'm going to have it ready for October 7th, but that means the surveyor's got to get Steve Sawyer the information he needs tomorrow, and I still have not gotten confirmation on that. So I'd like to continue this one to October 7th, but leave open the possibility that I may have to continue it further to the next meeting. But we should be back in and ready to move it along at that point.
Tom, that tank that you're gonna be decommissioning, what is that constructed of? And is that something?
It's an actual septic system over there,
Okay.
and I don't know for certain, but given the age of it, it is likely not a modern leach field.
Yeah.
It's probably in the environment's best interest as well as the property owner's best interest that that system be upgraded and located further away from that river and from the resource areas. Regardless of whether the garage went forward, I think that's a worthy project.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you're gonna be requesting an RDA, if there'd be any excavation in that area, or is it
I
just?
think the excavation would be limited to a tank install. I mean, it would be pretty simple, very quick and discrete area. So I think while it might be on the heavier side of what can be approved under an RDA, I think given that the regs indicate that a septic upgrade essentially meets the interests of the Wetland Protection Act, I think basically it's doable under the RDA, and since there will be a notice of intent on this side of the road and an order of conditions on the actual system itself, I think it's a kind of a fair way to move forward. I don't think that we have to dig up the old system or anything. I think it's just installing the tank. If once I understand what's happening on the other side more, if it looks like it's far more disruptive, then we would file a separate NOI, or conversely, we could rerun a butters notice and rerun the legal ad and just expand this this notice to cover both properties, which is actually another alternative, and I don't think that would be a terribly difficult way to go either if the commission prefers that.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. It would seem like an easier thing to do, but
Yeah, actually, something, the benefit of that would be I wouldn't necessarily have to file that by Friday to make this meeting on the 7th. I would just have to get the legal ad run and the notice to abutters. I could just file a letter saying that we're amending it to include that other property. I'll look into doing that. That seems to make more sense.
it would be nice if we didn't get the information the day of the meeting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm expecting if Steve had the survey information, I think I would have had the septic plan tomorrow or Thursday. So the real question is just, I think it's just Everett's got a backlog in terms of his field guy and the amount of information they've got to process right now.
Okay. Are we okay with that for now? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one, and this one's we're all set for October 7th. And next one is Cindy Singer,
Yep.
5
So-
Basin Street.
Yeah, so on this one, you may remember DEP had comments about we
Did
needed
you
to.
vote, excuse me, did you
Oh.
vote to continue that?
We did that last
You need
time,
to vote?
actually.
So you don't need to do it again? To the
I don't
7th?
believe so.
Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion here, just because it's shown on the agenda. The commission voted at the last meeting, but there was a desire to touch base with Tom about this item in terms of an update this evening. So that's why we have it here. It's Gretchen. Normally that would be a motion they'd have to take now.
Yeah, that was my understanding, was it was already continued to the 7th, but it had been a while, so you guys wanted an explanation. So
Would it be, we can do it again. It says.
yeah, that's fine. If
Yeah,
you
you
want
could
to,
just for everybody's to remove any ambiguity, you can
Okay.
just take a motion again to do it if you want.
Okay, motion to continue to October 7th.
Second,
Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes,
Dan Warshaw,
yes.
Barb Riley,
yes,
and I vote yes. All right, now on to Cindy Singer, 5 Basin Street.
Yeah, so this one, we're going to need one more continuance, I think. I met today with Chapter 91. We finally did get the structural plans, which now that I've gone over things with them, I'm going to submit with an updated regulatory analysis. And basically, they don't see a problem in approving the project. We do have to actually renew the Chapter 91 license with the maintenance request, and their suggestion, since we have to do that, that we also add the deck structure and the seasonal dock onto the Chapter 91 license at the same time. She reinforced that, we do need to keep the deck structure behind mean high water, and also that we do need to maintain the stairway being present, that we can't just, go over to the dock only. The stairs still need to remain for the public access portion of the approval. So, and I think that the purpose of that is just what I described in our earlier hearings, which is, I think the stairs are supposed to be there in case the tide comes up on somebody and they have no way to get out of there. It provides a means. Anyway, so now that we've got that, now I'm able to respond to what DEP's comment was and get you guys what you need to move forward on this. So with that, I'd request a continuance to the October 7th meeting.
Okay, motion to continue to October 7th.
Second,
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
Barb Riley,
yes.
and I vote yes. I should have asked the public if there were any questions. Are there any questions from the public on this project? Raise your digital hand.
Yep.
All
Let me-
right, seeing none. What?
Let me ask Tom a quick question.
Sure.
Okay.
Tom, do you read the Daily News?
Yeah, did I see the article yesterday?
Yeah, about the birds?
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah, that was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, one of the hidden gems in Newburyport is the project that a lot of people in the community were thinking might not work. And no, I'm pretty proud of that. And I know a lot of people who have come up to me who opposed the project and have said they're really happy with it. So that's kind of cool to see.
I didn't
Which
catch
is-
that. Do you mind elaborating on what you're
Yeah,
discussing?
so the former Evergreen Golf Course, Port Place, the Council on Aging had a bird watching trip, and apparently they've been going to the open space out there pretty frequently and seeing some nice things. And the article was nice in describing everything from some of the birds they saw, but also how they mixed up the bird watching with looking at some of the nice vegetation that's out there. And they talked in particular about a sumac they were looking at, which it kind of does make you feel pretty good when you go to that effort to get something to come out that nice, and you realize people are appreciating it.
Well done.
Very good.
I did have to
Who,
I did have to question the great blue heron eating a muskrat, but
Yeah, I know. I mean, look,
yeah,
whatever. But it was very cool, and it was good to see. And I would have liked for the reporter to have had a little bit of a memory and described kind of the process that it took to get that. But still, you can't get everything.
very good. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to you guys. That one did literally take a village. So anyhow, I think with that, I will be logging off. Thank you guys very much, and have a great night.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Okay, next item is Robert Phillips, 6 Wildwood Drive, notice of intent.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I'm Robert Phillips. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I got it. Yep. Hey, Robert. Can everyone hear me okay? This is David Cowell with Hancock Associates here in behalf of the
Yes.
applicant. All right, great. Okay. So I wanted to, this is the first public hearing on this matter. I did want to preface this that I did check the Mass DEP file number has not been issued yet. So administratively, we would not be able to close the hearing and with findings tonight. However, I did want to present the project to the commission this evening to find out if you guys have any questions, comments, or any revision requests, in hopes that I can jostle free a file number by the next hearing. And if you guys have any questions or comments, perhaps we can address those in advance of next hearings, trying to bring this closer to closing. So this is, we filed a notice of intent request to permit a single-family home addition at this property. In terms of risk of adverse impacts to wetland, I think that this is kind of on the innocuous side. It's a relatively benign project. The work will occur within the 100-foot buffer zone. It is not located within any setback zones imposed by Newburyport wetland bylaw. And the location in which the work is proposed is located between what exists today as an in-ground swimming pool and the residence itself. And the addition is proposed to occur over what exists today as a wooden deck. These are the architectural sets. If we zoom in a little bit, I don't know if that has the, oh, that's the proposed plot plan. If you zoom into the limits of work, I do have these on my screen too, if you wanted me to share screen. But effectively, the development is it's entirely over what exists as wooden deck today and a little bit of crushed gravel packing area. So in order to do this, there's no need to remove any native vegetation, providing buffer zone in it to the wetland resource area. That there's really it will result in no real change in grade because it's impervious over impervious surface area. There's no increase of impervious surface area. We did look at this. I don't think this triggers any local stormwater bylaws requiring infiltration. It'll mimic the same drainage that it has today, as it is impervious over impervious. And those are, I mean, that really is the basic premise of this project. There's you know, I did look at the plan and I figured if there were details we needed to add, there's relatively flat scope. I don't see any risk of there being sediment washing down towards the wetland resource area. But if it appeases the commission, we could slap a sediment control line downgrading of the work. I did consider that I believe this is it's not on surface grade, that there will be a foundation, a basement excavated for a portion of this, at least. It's on the architectural renderings, in which case I would recommend that soil stockpiling occur in the front of the house outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. Right there. Yep, you're right on it. That's where I would suggest temporary stockpiling if necessary. We could add a call out to that plan. With that, I mean, that really is, it is a very basic project as it pertains to wetland encroachment.
Through the chair, this is Andy. Could I just interject there?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
And I appreciate it. I think it's just for clarity, just because I don't know if I've seen it illustrated coherently at to this point. I think the plan sets, usually when we get a set of plans, there's a clearly drawn before existing conditions versus proposed conditions. I think what we're to understand from this plan set, correctly, if I'm wrong, is that the darker shaded in walls, that area there is what the commission is seeing as new work, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, I'd also like to point out that you're looking at the architectural plan and not the permit site plan. If you switch over to the permit site plan, it will underlie existing condition underneath proposed condition. This is the permit site. So if we zoom into greater detail under here, you'll see the underlying data layers in grayscale that show you where the wooden deck is and where the extent of gravel base is. The red, as it's detailed here, is the proposed work overlaying on existing.
Right.
conditions.
Okay. Well, that's why I was trying to bring up this plan set earlier.
Oh yeah. Yep. No, sorry. I again, I
just
have
so
all
that
of these,
everybody
and I think
understands
it's
the sort of nature of the work in relation to other improvements that are already on the property. So it's essentially in between improvements that are there. That's the part that I thought was salient here, just seeing in terms of relatively minimal impact on a resource area, you know, if you will. It's sort of in between that area. It's not already disturbed with a deck and whatnot. Leave it out to the commission, but I think that's a little bit easier to see here. So.
That is. I also I have graphics on my screen available if I'm allowed to share screen, but I also have the mass mapper aerial that may illustrate just from an aerial image context. of where this work is proposed and in relation to other developments on the property. Again, it's in between the swimming pool and the home over what occurs as a deck today.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to be excavating a cellar hole, I'd like to see some sedimentation, whatever.
That's what I was about to say. I would like to see some sedimentation control.
Control. Okay. That's an easy addition to the plan. I was forethinking these things in advance of the next hearing. We can add sediment control specifications. I don't think, honestly, it just needs to go between the pool and where that retaining wall is today. It's a short segment of, if you guys prefer fiber rolls, we can put those in. And then I can also add a call out to the front yard outside of the 100-foot buffer zone that would specify soil stockpiling location.
That would be good.
All right. I believe that the excavation is going to be direct loaded into dump trucks and trucked off site immediately, which is preferred. However, I want to carry that detail to give them a plan B if they're not directly loading soils into dump trucks and hauling it right away.
Okay.
One other comment, in your narrative, you say the lot is 22.6 acres.
Yes.
It is?
Yep. That's via survey.
22 acres?
22,600, I think, square feet as
Square
opposed
feet.
to.
Oh, then that is all right. Then that is you did
right.
catch an error on my part.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
And Stephen, I'm not crazy too. I looked at this lot and saw 22 acres on a single family home lot. So you're absolutely correct. Sorry, I reported it in square feet. So it is it's less than an acre. I can make that correction prior to the next meeting. But that's a good catch.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that would be a good thing.
Yeah. All right.
The other thing is, if the homeowners want to, adding some native vegetation would not upset the commission.
Yep. Yeah, the client is on now. I can certainly talk to him about whether or not there's an area that we can add maybe some native landscaping plants to just as enhancement. I know that's fairly typical of projects. Right. In this circumstance, I didn't think that we had any impact to mitigate for, but it is a wonderful suggestion.
It's just a request.
Yeah. So I'll talk to him and see if we can't incorporate either some native seed mixes or a few native plantings to enhance vegetated buffer zone.
Yeah.
Maybe
out behind that shed.
Yep.
Up there.
And just to be clear, like where the work zone is completely out of it, you're going to be approaching from the main street there, right?
Yeah, that's where access is obtained.
Well, you're just going to come into the right of the building and then work.
Yes. Yep. Off of the driveway.
And no stuff.
From Bitconk, it transitions to gravel. If you just go a hair left, the gravel, and then and there's already a retaining wall there, but that's where the construction access would be.
Okay.
Just straight in there. Yep.
So you're saying that the erosion control measures would be between that wall right there, the corner, and then the pool. Right.
If you take where your hand is now at the corner of the pool, just straight across to the retaining wall, that short segment between that corner of the pool and that, that's it.
Okay.
Because it's relatively flat, so there's not a steep gradient slope that would be at great risk, and there's an expansive area of lawn before you get to the wetland itself. But that's where I would suggest, for posterity's sake, adding a staked fiber roll or straw wattle.
Okay.
Yeah, whichever you prefer. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. We have anything else for now? Yeah, I just looked at the DEP site, and this project isn't even listed, let alone not having a number.
Yeah, I'm gonna chase them tomorrow. You know, as a consultant, we do a lot of work in the Northeast Regional Office, and I know that they're oftentimes won't even issue a file number before the opening of the first hearing for a commission. But the fact that it doesn't even show up as received, I'm gonna look into that tomorrow. Procedurally as a company, we send everything with tracking to ensure that it gets there. And I'll follow up with my client who's on tonight to make sure that his check cleared Department of Revenue and that his check was actually cashed. Sometimes a check gets lost at the revenue lockbox. So I'll shake them tomorrow.
Okay. Very good. So first let me, are we all done? We all set
Yeah.
for now?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody from the public have any comments? Raise your digital hand. All right, I see none. And do you want this to be continued to the next meeting?
Yes, I would. I'd at least like to have the opportunity that if the DEP number does release, that we're able to come back in at the next hearing in hopes of maybe closing this. So in God forbid the number isn't released by then, I'll call and request continuance in advance of that hearing.
Okay. Very good.
Motion to continue to October 7th.
Second,
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right.
All right, good motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
Dan, you know, the one time you got in first, Dan, your mic was off. I saw that. Second. All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Do we have anything else? I see still 8 S Street. Anything happening with that, Andy?
No, but when we get our new environmental planner, which I was going to mention in a moment, onboarded, we'll pick up some of the miscellaneous things, including enforcement items that have been lagging a bit.
They had promised us something sometime during the summer, if not earlier. So they need to get prodded.
Understood.
Anything else? Do we have?
If I just give a quick note.
Yep.
Two things. One was just like as I mentioned a second ago, and I did route to the commission. We have a new environmental planner who's beginning on October 6th. Very excited about that. I'm also glad because that will free up Julia to join the commission. So we'll be onboarding the new person and bring them up to speed, and then you'll have a chance to meet them. It might be as early as the October 7th meeting. I did want to touch base with you. We're looking into the room availability for going back to the sort of hybrid in-person thing. So if you have any particular concerns or preferences, let us know. Otherwise, we're looking from the October 7th meeting forward to see what we have for room spaces and whatnot. And then obviously we'll circle back with you, assuming that folks want to return at that point. So
Yeah.
Senior center works for me.
Yeah, the boardroom is very
trying to
good.
get that boardroom. It's a pretty good meeting room for boards like this. So
Yeah.
try to get that.
And we were the first board to go in there too, so just because I wanted to say that. Anyways, all right, we got anything else?
Andy, that'll still leave us with a vacancy on the commission.
Does that leave you a vacancy?
It
Yeah.
leaves us still with
Yeah.
one. We have one.
Yeah, one. Yeah.
Julie's number 6.
I don't know if any names have been put into the mayor's office. We have seen 1 or 2 other appointments, but I haven't seen anything brought forward for the commission. So.
No. We can only do what we can do. So if we don't have quorum, we don't have a quorum. That's what it is.
I'll touch base with the mayor's office tomorrow, just in terms of, they do periodically put out a press release saying, we're looking for candidates and whatnot. So just generically, aside from folks who might step forward on their own, that we might know and sort of suggest come in.
Yeah, I've seen them on the city website. I've seen it in the daily news, but apparently we're not getting many people to volunteer. Anyways, all right. Are we done?
For our next meeting, I'm going to be traveling, but I will be in the same time zone, so I should be able to be there.
Very good.
Thank you. Appreciate that for the quorum.
Right. But we'll have Julie at that one too, so it won't be as touch and go.
I already filled out my paperwork. Just have to go in and sign up.
Yahoo. All righty. On that note, I'll take one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, Dan, you're just like so close. Here,
Doesn't matter if
go
my
get-
microphone is on or off. I can't
Yeah.
get it tonight. I'm sorry. I'll
Well,
bring
we-
I'll bring my A
$5
game in October.
All right. Well, we're not done with the motion. So Dan.
Second.
All right then. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Good night, folks.
Good night.
See you
Thank
next
you.
Right.
Good night.